Hello Pisces, Ashley here. We're going to do your reading for the week of February 7th. We're going to look at last week, this week, and next week just to see what's going on for you. And, ooh, I really like this. And we're going to pull some tarot and then we'll clarify just to see if we can get some more information. Now, Cancer and Scorpio's readings had a ton channel through, so we'll see if your reading follows in the same direction. So definitely just take what resonates, leave the rest behind. I've just been getting multiple stories, so I'm trying to communicate all of them at once, and it gets a little crazy. So Pisces, February 7th, all planets are now moving direct. So there's a lot more action, there's a lot more progress available. And so you might be getting to a point where you feel like things are finally starting to move, which is lovely. All right. We have the Death card. Justice, Temperance, look at all those majors already. The Four of Cups, the Four of Wands, and the Five of Swords. The Star, the Queen of Swords, and the Page of Swords. Bottom of the deck. Oh, the Lovers. Six of Swords. I feel like something's moving in a positive direction here. Look at this. Two of Cups, Three of Pentacles, Nine of Cups, the Fool. Could be a new beginning. Wow. Wow. I love it. So I feel like there's some positive manifestations coming in for you. Something that you've really been focused on, yearning for, I want to say. New cycle. Could be with a soulmate from the past or someone that you've had past life experience with. But it is a new cycle here, and that's interesting because we do have the Death card showing itself. So this could very well be a reconciliation here, or simply a new love, strong soul connection coming in after having kind of completed a longer cycle with a previous connection, right? So we have Great and Full, and I really like this. It's kind of like the Ace of Cups, right? We've got this overflowing cup. So I do feel like you've spent a lot of time trying to refill your own cup here. It is a number 4. So this is kind of talking about emotional stability as being a big factor for you at this time. It could be that you've received a love offer this past week, or there's been some sort of, what do I want to say? It's like this offer of, trying to find the right words to describe this. It's not quite like an outright offer, is what I want to say. It kind of just feels like a token of, like a small gift, or like a token of kindness of some kind, or and I feel like what that does is it somehow like opens the door and allows something to grow stronger here. But to me this feels like, even though it says Great and Full, it's like this very small act of kindness in order to open a door, is what I feel like there. We have the Death card, the Four of Cups, and the Star. So I do feel like something has come to an end in the past. Could be dealing with another water sign, a Scorpio in particular, or an Aquarius here. And I do feel like you've been in this period here where an ending happened. I don't think you wanted it to happen. Like it may have needed to, but even then, I feel like you weren't happy with that having to come to a close, is what I want to say here. But I also feel like there's this offer showing up here, this fourth cup, right? It's like the ace pops out from the clouds, from the universe. Now that can be in the form of a person or an event, or it can show up in many ways here, but I do feel like things have been kind of, I want to say, kind of blue and melancholy for a period of time here in regards to love. And I do feel like there's some sort of token offer that's showing up here. And I don't feel like it's a small offer because someone has small feelings. I feel like it's a small offer in order to like test the waters here. You can kind of see how on the star card she's got 1 foot in the water and 1 foot behind her here on the ground. And so it's kind of like trying to dip the toe to see how, perhaps to see how you'll receive it, right? So let's clarify this and see what that's about. I do feel like at one point you did feel a lot of emotional satisfaction, perhaps in a past relationship. But there's been a strong transformation that took place. And I do feel like that has kept you in line with your destiny here. But of course, there's been bumps and bruises along the way, right? Some disappointments, some dissatisfaction, pain when it comes to the changes that had to be made. Why the Death card? We have the Two of Wands and the Four of Swords. Interesting. In some ways, I feel like perhaps there's been some solitude, some silence. It could be that you haven't, sorry, there's a hair on the table here. It could be that you haven't had contact with someone for some time, and there was like this waiting to see if they were going to make contact or reach out. And I feel like that came to an end. So whether that means you stopped waiting for that contact to come in, or you made contact, right? Like you were like, I'm not going to wait for this anymore. I'm going to just reach out myself. For others, it could be that you've just made the choice to stop waiting on something from the past. You can see this Two of Wands is actually pointed in the direction of the past. And I do feel there's been a lot of healing on your part here. With the Four of Cups, we have the Hermit and the Four of Wands. So again, I feel like there's been silence within this connection. There's been a lot of thinking about it. You know, whether it should come together, whether it should you know, just full out in. We're getting a lot of fours here. We have a 4 here, we have a 4 here, a 4 here, 4, 4, 4. So that could be a big number that's showing up for you at this time. Getting a lot of synchronicity. With the Star, we have the Two of Pentacles and the Three of Swords. So I do feel like there's been some question here as to whether or not this is something that could be healed. But also, I feel like what that's saying is that there's been a lot of work done on healing. When we get the Hermit, which is kind of like this dark night of the soul, we kind of go within ourselves, right, to do some self-exploration. And then we have the Star here with the Two of Pentacles. I do feel like somebody has been indecisive in the past, and that's been painful for you. But I also feel like the reason this union's been under review is because it's, the question is, can it be healed? And part of that, obviously, is that you and this person refill your own cup, right? Like if you come into the dynamic with an empty cup, full of wounds and grief and pain and maybe even resentment, then that's the cup that you're presenting, right? So I still feel like there's an offer showing up here. Could be from a Virgo with this Hermit. So it could be that the person that has been silent with you is deciding to come in and attempt to heal things. But again, I feel like they kind of dip their toe in first, and it's like this small favor, or they offer to help you in some way, just to kind of get a feel for your reaction is what I feel like. Now this week we have chop wood. It's number 42, which reduces to a 6, which, is balance, right? It's, and we do have justice showing up here, but it's also the card of the lovers, or the number of the lovers in Tarot. Now this chop wood card talks about, the saying, chop wood, carry water. It's like before the shift happened, before the transformation happened, you had to chop wood and carry water. After it's over, you still have to chop wood and carry water, right? You have to continue doing day-to-day tasks. You have to take care of responsibilities, kind of do the chores, right? And that doesn't really change even if there's been some sort of ascension in the relationship dynamic. And I do feel like what this is talking about is that there is work to be done here. But what I want to say here is I feel like both of you are maybe showing up with a little bit more clarity that you want to do the work, that you both want to do the work. With justice here, and the Four of Wands and the Queen of Swords, somebody might even be receiving a proposal. I feel like that's very few of you, but take that as it resonates. Others, I just feel like there's a lot of communication that takes place to talk about what does this new union even look like. Especially if this is, well, really, if it's someone from the past or it is a new person. Either way, you've learned from the past, right? And so now you have more clarity as to the balance that you want to see when it comes to a union, when it comes to being in a relationship. And I do feel like that's being talked about. Could definitely be dealing with a Libra with Justice and the Queen of Swords here. Or just an air sign, fire sign. Let's see. Let's get some more on this chop wood here. With Justice, we have the Sun. And the Page of Swords. So again, this could be kind of like this small communication that's showing up. With the Four of Wands, we have the Five of Cups. I definitely agree that there's been a lot of pain here in this connection, and that part of what needs to happen, especially if this is a reconciliation, is to let go of the pain of the past. Not because you don't address it, but as it's talked about, as there's balance brought to it through communication, through enlightenment, right? And my candle just went out. Then release it, right? Because we can kind of get in this habit of, we talk about the past, we talk about the pain, we work through it, we come up with a plan, We spend some time together, we heal on our own, what have you. We've got a lot of healing showing up here. But then we have to let it go. You know, we can't just put it in our back pocket as ammo for a later date, right? Because one, that's gonna destroy both of you, for real. I mean, with the Queen of Swords, we have the Seven of Swords. I feel like what that's saying, on the Seven of Pentacles, like, I feel like there will be communication about, you know, we have to put in the effort here, we have to have boundaries, we have to discuss the past, we have to allow the past to be healed over and move on from it. I also feel like there will be discussions here about the temptation to kind of skip town is what I want to say. Like, when things get difficult, when they do get emotionally unsatisfying and we have a problem that we have to deal with, you know, sometimes the temptation is to run away from the problem. Either not talk about it or just protect ourselves, which isn't going to work in a union, right? We have to, like, stand in that discomfort and address it honestly. I also feel like someone here is just saying, I'm not going to deal with any kind of BS. I'm not going to deal with lies. If you can't be honest and put in the work, then there's nothing for us to do together here, right? So it just feels like kind of working through some of the nuts and bolts of even beginning to rebuild a foundation here. Now, in the future position, we have the conjunction, and this is just a huge turn of positive events here. Like, to me, this feels like a love reading, right? But what this card talks about is having a stroke of luck in all areas of life, not just one. You know how, like, sometimes you have, like, an amazing relationship, but you hate your job, and you hate where you live, and your car's breaking down, right? And then other times your relationship's falling apart at the same time that you're finally having success in your career. So it can sometimes feel like one area of life is always falling apart, right? But what this card talks about is there actually being huge success in all areas of life. So we have Temperance, the Five of Swords, and the Page of Swords. I do feel like there's a lot of healing and understanding coming in here, especially with regards to these conversations that have been ongoing. I actually feel like both of you want the same thing, is what I want to say with this Page of Swords. It's like you both want balance. You both want happiness. You both want freedom. You both want stability, but also not to be tied down. I mean, it's kind of like this very balanced mix between all the things, right? So let's see what we get to clarify this. Temperance. There's the Cup, Ace of Cups. And the King of Cups. So lots of emotions here. Again, strong Scorpio showing up. But I feel like what this is, it's like kind of, again, this Temperance card is kind of like, you know, 1 foot in the water, 1 foot out. It's this very emotionally balanced approach. And I feel like what's showing up here is this cup that you've been waiting for. You've been waiting for this offer. It shows up, and it does come in a very healing way. I also feel like this slow approach, this kind of token offer, actually in some ways, like, because it's just like a little bit at a time, and then there's some, you know, very open conversation that happens here. And then suddenly this King of Cups opens up emotionally. So I really feel like this could be any sign, But I feel like the King of Cups is showing up here because he's not only in control of his emotions, right? But he can sometimes control them too well, like hide them. And I feel like what this king is actually opening up because things are nice and balanced and one step at a time here. And it provides like this safety to open up about true feelings here. There could certainly be a love offer showing up here. Scorpio, Sagittarius. Again, we've got Leo, Libra, and Aquarius, Virgo. Gemini here at the bottom of the deck, right? So, with the Five of Swords, we have the Eight of Swords. I feel like this is, you're breaking free of this mental prison here. Yeah, look, Ace of Pentacles. So, of all this stuff that's been going on here, all this open communication here, and actually doing the work one step at a time to talk about what both of you want, and talk about pain, and talk about needing to heal, and talk about boundaries. It kind of releases you from kind of the mental turmoil that's been going on with you and this person, or even the mental turmoil you've endured when it comes to relationships. So if this is new coming in, it's like this lovely offer that shows up. For me, the Ace of Pentacles would be an offer of commitment, something solid, right? And it kind of releases you from all this mental turmoil regarding relationships, right? With the Page of Swords, we have the Nine of Swords. Like, I think what's really nice about that, actually, yeah, we're talking about our fears. We're talking about what is the most terrible outcome I can even fathom in my mind, right? And then I feel like what's happening here is if you and this person are actually talking about fears with one another openly, right? You probably both have some of the same fears as well. Like, we have all these hopes and things that we want, but we have all these fears as well. And I feel like they're a lot in common. It's almost like just finding this really common ground, this balance between the two of you, whereas maybe in the past it felt very one-sided. For both of you, I want to say, like, you both felt, I feel like you've both felt this way the whole time, but something about opening up here and having just one step at a time conversations about things, there's like a carefulness about it. I feel like you're both being very careful about what you say and how you say it, and also not using one another as an emotional dumping ground. When it comes to this temperance with the King of Cups here, I feel like part of what might have happened in this dynamic is that that's kind of how you both approached one another. Like, whether you were frustrated or hurt or sad or whatever, you kind of just poured it all out on your partner. Now, that's obviously not going to apply to everyone watching this, but what's different here is you're kind of taking responsibility here for your own emotional well-being and healing, right? And so at this juncture, when we communicate how we feel, or we communicate our fears or whatever, we're taking responsibility for ourselves. And I feel like that's the biggest difference that's showing up here. It's like, yeah, I have these fears, and my fears are my own. But when it comes to partnership, when it comes to stability, I'm finding that balance between talking about that and setting boundaries with you, but also understanding that they're my fears. It's not your responsibility to fix them. So there's this lovely back and forth exchange and assistance. And I feel like that's really what I was picking up with that great and full card, you know, this like token offer. We give a little, we take a little, and it's just this nice back and forth motion, and we don't go too crazy and just dump it all on the other person, right? I really like this reading. I hope that made sense and I was able to communicate clearly what I was picking up here. But it's just like baby steps. And I don't feel like, because I feel like it's a very strong connection here. And I do feel like there's been a lot of pain in the past between the two of you. And there's probably a lot of these fears and these burdens to unpack, right? But I also feel like it's just one step at a time. We're just taking care of business. It doesn't have to happen at lightning speed. We don't have to talk about it all today, right? We can talk about it, take a little time, reflect, talk about some more, right? It's just this one step at a time, because Rome wasn't built in a day, right? I hope that was helpful, Pisces, and I hope to see you next week. Leave me a comment down below, and I definitely appreciate any likes and subscribes. I will see you next time. Bye.